Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's football show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. Monday to Friday, we're with you every day, 4 o'clock, live on Facebook and YouTube as well. Barry Ferguson and Alan Ruff are with me. And I don't know if you've noticed, Barry, but Roughie is cranking it up day by day. We've kept the same background, but he's just putting up all his caps, all his shirts framed. The medals will be going up shortly. Have a look what's behind him, Fergie. It's not good.
I know. The only problem that I can't move about is my reception. The Wi-Fi reception is no great because I'm out in the sticks. So, is that 50 cat? Is that the 50 cat one you've got behind you?
No, that's just that's just two. There's another 51 just dotted about the house.
Ah, here we go. All right.
Yeah. Roughie, I would love to have great reception in other areas of Barry's house, Roughie, because that would mean we could get into the Rangers man cave and see what he's got on the walls. But he's just taken the Wi-Fi and the broadband down in that room.
That's a shame. I think we'd all love to win up there. I'm sure a bit of technology, Barry, you can get up there. Come on, let everybody see what's in that room.
No, do you know what? I'll go and get a booster and I'll take you inside it next week. There you go.
Listen, to be honest with you, by the way, this is a nonsense from you. If you can kick a ball off the wall 50 times, surely you can get us into your man cave, eh?
Did you enjoy it?
How many takes was that, by the way? That must have been about 300 takes.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. Tomo had texted me and I'd watched it. I went on the internet and watched Tomo doing it. I went in and I tried it the first time and I got to 28. And then I thought to myself I was a bit stiff. So I done a 10-minute warm-up, Peter. I done it again. I got to 30. I think it was about, no, tell a lie, it was about 42, 43. And then I done it in my third attempt. It wasn't the first time, it was third attempt.
Well, listen, at least you're being honest. Roughie, could you kick the ball off the wall, right and left foot, 50 times consecutively?
No, I couldn't even catch it 50 times bouncing off the wall.
Peter, can I just say it's not with your inside of your foot, it's the
front. It's
kicking it straight. It's difficult. Do you know what? It's a lot harder than it looks. A lot harder than it looks.
Yeah. I see the Celtic players have released theirs. They're all doing 60.
No,
right,
I'm not.
Straight in the garage.
He's at the absolute noise up. Don't bite, Barry.
I'll be back in 20 minutes. I'm away to the garage.
Yeah, good shout, Roughie. Listen, to be fair, it's a great idea by Tomo, and everybody seems to be catching on to these things. I tell you, some people make it look easy. I mean, Steven Gerrard, he looked as if he was cruising like yourself, Barry.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you, as I said, Peter, it's difficult to do. As I says, it took me 3 attempts. I know a few people have said that was their first attempt, but look, I can guarantee you nobody would do it in their first attempt. No chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. John Watt, hi to John has joined us. Alan Redmond. Andy Wilson's out there in Australia. Andy, great that you've joined us again. James Thompson, ask Roughie if he still has the Rangers bonnet he wore while playing for Hibs. Did you wear a Rangers bonnet when you were playing for Hibs, Roughie?
No, I was playing at, it was at Ibrox it was actually, and I was doing the goals at the Rangers end. And there was a bit of banter going on, and I think it was about 5 minutes to go. Somebody threw a Rangers cap onto the goal mouth, and I just picked it up and put it on, just for a laugh.
Brilliant.
But,
anything for a cap, Roughie. So, Dougie Liddle, Gazmaka, Elizabeth, Triantafilo. Elizabeth, I'm really good at pronouncing names, but I'm having difficulty with yours. Triantafilo, I think it is, Elizabeth. I hope I've got that right. Michael Mullen, Lee Shanley, Alan Montgomery as well. Afternoon. Barry needs to up the background. Well done to Roughie, says Alan Montgomery. You're absolutely right, by the way. I mean, we are put the pressure on Fergie to get some stuff behind him there. Michael Clark as well. Great work done by St Johnstone around their season ticket holders. We're going to talk about that, and we'll also get lots of your points as well, not only here, but also, I have to say, on YouTube as well, because there's lots of people who will be joining us to give us their thoughts on football on the YouTube channel too, where we are live every day, Monday to Friday. So with that in mind, I have to say hi to Brian Spence, hi to Kieran Willis as well, Rob Richardson and David Henderson. Great to have you guys on the YouTube too. I must just say, Barry, and you'll know all about this, a big shout out there to EKYM. Roughie, you've been there before up at the Ballarat Hall. All the boys there, like so many of the amateur clubs in the Scottish Amateur Football Association, put out little tweets saying, look, we're going to go shopping for you, we'll run errands for you if you're elderly or you're sick or you just can't get out. And the boys are going out and running errands for them. I think that's a great show of the community spirit.
Yeah, it's great. I played up there at Ballarat as a young kid, and when I seen that and when I read it, it's great to see. Do you know what? It's fantastic helping the people who can't get out, Peter, during this terrible virus that's going about. So, no, it's great to see the amateur clubs all doing their bit to help the people who obviously can't get out.
Yeah, okay, let's get into the meat and bones of things. Are we getting closer to the SPFL announcing Celtic as the champions and other resolutions that we are looking for? Well, not according to UEFA President Alexander Seferin. Our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi gives us an update on the facts.
The SFA, SPFL and the 42 clubs postponed their weekly meeting today, pushing it back until Wednesday. It comes with the growing feeling that the season will not be completed due to the coronavirus pandemic and also developments on the continent. The Belgian Super League announced yesterday they are crowning leaders Club Brugge champions and planning on expanding their league to avoid relegation. Bruges are 15 points clear with 11 games to go, 10 of those coming in a split system. Sound familiar? However, UEFA instantly responded, urging leagues to not conclude yet, believing they can be resumed and finished, restarting in late June or July. Also, the governing body stated that ending competitions early could result in them forfeiting Champions and Europa League places. So, should Scotland cancel the season and name winners and losers like Belgium but risk UEFA punishment? Or does it wait to see if football can be resumed in the coming months whilst clubs wait in limbo, crippled by the financial strain of the pandemic?
Yeah, lots of questions still to be answered. We have non-stop given our thoughts on what we think about it. I'll tell you one thing though, Barry, apart from Belgium obviously taking what seems to be an early lead on this, much to the annoyance of UEFA by declaring Club Brugge the champions, I just wonder, what the EPL in England are thinking about. I think they're playing a game of chess here legally. They will have consulted their lawyers on the requirements of these TV broadcast and sponsorship deals, and they'll be trying to hold off for as long as possible. I think this is a game of just basically seeing how long they can hold on, excuse me, to desperately try and not avoid the television companies refusing to pay them. That's my gut feeling on it. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I agree with you, Peter. I think they're going to try and drag it out as long as possible because there's a lot of, you're talking close to £1 billion in money down in England. But look, I think they should go for the end of June. If there's no football being able to play, which I don't think there will be, I don't think you can go into July because then it starts to kick on to August at the start of each domestic season, Peter. So the way the Belgium leagues have done it, do you know what? They've went and done it off their own accord. And do you know what? I think other countries need to go and do the same thing. I don't think any football is going to be played, Peter. I'm a big believer in you can't go into July and squeeze a certain amount of games in a short period of time.
Yeah, of course, that's the thing that we've been talking about non-stop on the programme, Roughie. The English Premier League are saying now they're going to wait till the end of May. They're just dragging it out. And it's not because fans are thinking, they're giving everybody as much chance as possible. I am of the firm belief that they know the legal implications of this. They will have been consulting each other constantly and thinking, we're going to take a massive financial hit here.
Yeah, but you touched on it briefly there, Peter, with UEFA. I think UEFA are now flexing their muscles a wee bit. Everybody's been giving them stick for giving us stupid dates here and there, and now they're coming out and saying, look, if you don't finish your leagues, you're not going to get playing in our tournaments. And that's a big one for the English league because we know how much money that Champions League brings in. That's why I think they're just stalling it. until UEFA really have to back down and say, just like Barry's saying there just now, like, let's be realistic here. There's no football going to get played. So I think they're just hanging on there and just doing everything so they don't break the rules, so they can take part in whatever's going about, and obviously what money's going about as well.
Yeah, listen, the other point I was going to make to you guys, and this is about something that you guys know better than anyone. The professional footballers, I think, over the last 24 hours have taken a kicking, and from, various areas across the United Kingdom and across Europe and the world as well, with regards to the money that is being made by professional footballers. I think a lot of them, Barry, have really taken an absolute kicking on the basis that they should be donating, lots of their money. And the focus seems to be on footballers, but it doesn't seem to be on anyone else. We have a story this morning of, the government coming out and saying that banks are not releasing the money for small businesses and loans. Only 1,000 this morning were announced that 1,000 small businesses have been able to get loans because the banks are making it difficult for them to get those loans. This is the bank that was bailed out in 2008. This is the bank that's now making it difficult, and you've got to go through various, almost hoops to try and get it, putting on interest at the end of the loan if you take it out, obviously asking that you need to actually guarantee, personal guarantees to get the loans. These were not part of the stipulations from the government. So why is nobody giving the bankers a kicking and telling them to get their money out and give it to the community? Instead, we've got what seems to be a purge on footballers, and not all of them make millions of pounds, certainly not here in Scotland.
Yeah, Peter, I've been watching it closely like yourself. And 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, when the government announced that the government actually have given the banks the money. The banks are just not releasing the money. And a lot of these small businesses are going to suffer. And I'm with you. I think the banks are getting away lightly. It all kind of focuses on football players. I know certainly down in the top level English Premier League, they're earning a couple of hundred, 300, 400 even. £1,000 a week. But I think if you ask each individual player, I think in time these players will be taking cuts, and these players will, the vast majority, will give some money back to the NHS. Who, listen, let's be honest, Peter, I've done an unbelievable job. I mean, front line, that's what they're all about. They're risking their lives, the NHS staff. And I seen a bit with you on Twitter. One of my mates had sent it through. You done the clap, was it last night?
Yeah.
I was the same. I was out clapping because, do you know what? They're heroes. And I think in time you will eventually see the footballers who earn top dollar, as you says, but not everybody will eventually give money back.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to speak to the president of the FIFPro supervising board, Tony Higgins. I caught up with him earlier, and you're going to see this interview shortly, talking about not only footballers here, but footballers in Europe and the implications for footballers across the world. It's a very interesting chat with Tony Higgins as well, coming up shortly. But just on that point you make there, Roughie, Man United players are donating 30% of a month's wages to the NHS, and that, could rise up to about £8 million. So that's a lot of money going to the NHS. Man United have really started this, kicked this off, and I think a lot of clubs will follow. And just the news in the last hour, a meeting of the Premier League clubs has decided to make a £20 million donation to the NHS, with £125 million also given to the EFL and the National League. And it's also confirmed that talks are ongoing for players to take a 30% cut in wages. That's down south. Hibs have agreed to take a cut in their wages, a wage deferral at Easter Road, as they said they would. So well done. I think Scott Allen, David Gray and Darren McGregor started the ball rolling, Roughie.
Yeah, but it just shows you the kind of money we're talking about down in England. Barry's touched on it. We're talking about hundreds of millions of pounds, and it's fantastic that they've agreed to do this. It's absolutely amazing. We all know what everybody's doing on the front line, and that money will obviously help in lots of different aspects of what's happening around the world. And you're right, it's something that a lot of people don't appreciate. I'm not saying all footballers do it, but the majority of big footballers do put money back into the community, whether it's here or back there.
Just before we hear from Tony Higgins, we always like to give you a wee quiz question. Here's today's. Quiz question. Wish I knew the answer. Might need to look that one up, Barry. Anyway, before we get the answer to that before the end of the programme, have you got it already?
Oh, got it already. Yep.
Brilliant. Okay. I only joined it actually midway through it, so I'll have to look at it again. Now, listen, the implications for footballers near and far is something that I wanted to talk about today with the president of the supervising board of FIFPro. He's a Scot. His name is Tony Higgins, and this is what he had to say. Well, I'm delighted to say we're joined by Tony Higgins, who is the FIFPro Supervisory Board President. I hope I've got that title right. Tony, I'm delighted that you could join us. Of course, Roughie knows you as his old mucker at Partick Thistle and Hibs. But before we get to the great days of you playing football together, I want to get your thoughts on football now. Difficult times, fair bit of criticism coming football's way at the moment. From a world perspective, do you think maybe we're getting a bad rap and maybe the perception is that all footballers are multi-millionaires?
I think the reality is, Peter, we discussed in the past that only around 5% of players in the global community earn the type of money that people think they do. I mean, we've got, for instance, 40% of the players in the world at any given time are not paid in time. So the reality is far different from the perception. But most people like to bask in the glory of these superstar players, but they form a very, very small percentage of the global population of players.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point you make. I mean, I'm looking at the efforts of players who are trying to save their clubs, trying to save staff in the background. I mean, Hibs players have agreed wage deferrals. The staff in the background have agreed to the deferral of their wages as well. At so many clubs, not only in the United Kingdom, but across the world. Manchester United have just announced a 30% of their month's wages going to the NHS as well. So people are making an effort to not only try and save their clubs, but try and invest in the community as well. Somehow, I think that's getting lost at the moment.
It is, and also you've got to remember that the footballers, the top footballers, the 5% I spoke about, they're all in PAYE schemes in their respective countries. So, for instance, in the UK, the monies that are earned by the top Premier League players, 45% of that, if not more, goes in tax. So that goes into the public purse. So people have to remember that, first of all. But players are prepared to make sacrifices for the good of the game, but it has to be managed properly and by consent. That's why you see at Manchester United, and I think some other clubs will follow as well with the top players. They'll probably allocate a large percentage of their earnings to charities or to the NHS, but already 45%, as I said, in this country, and of course many other countries as well, they pay a high degree of tax because of the earnings they have. That already goes to the public purse.
How difficult do you think it's going to be over the next couple of months, Tony? What do you think on a world scale we're going to witness with clubs and footballers?
Well, I've been in touch with literally the global community when it comes to players. We've formed a WhatsApp group under FIFPro with jurisdiction from the head office in Amsterdam, and I'm in constant contact. And it's a real crisis in every country in the world. And very often it's of different construct, you know, that other leagues in other parts of the world are thinking about finishing. In fact, I just heard today that I think it's El Salvador, they finished their league 2 or 3 weeks ago. So everybody's trying to make decisions based on what's best for their local situation. I think you saw yesterday, Peter, some comments from Belgium, and I spoke to the Belgian Player Association, and they were telling me that has to be ratified on the 15th of April anyway. And although they've said that Bruges may be the champions, the big issues they haven't resolved, of course, is relegation, and therefore they can't make any firm decisions on anything. But also, UEFA have intervened because UEFA want these countries in Europe to send the respective champions and Europa League qualifiers to them to play in their tournaments. So they're urging the leagues to continue in the hope that they can play again. But while, of course, this will suit the top leagues in Europe, I think it might be practically impossible for many of the other leagues to do this.
I know you're in constant consultation with Fraser Wishart and his difficult job as chief executive at the PFA here in Scotland. You know, we've got clubs that have players that are wondering whether they'll have a club next season. How difficult is it going to be when we eventually have to call the leagues and have to call relegation?
Well, it's going to be very difficult. That's why I said, Peter, a global perspective. In years gone by, if clubs are in financial difficulty in certain parts of the world, players could always arrange a termination by mutual agreement and move on and play in France or Germany or in Spain somewhere, go and play at another level. But the reality is, this is affecting all countries in the world. So therefore, most players will have to stay where they are. But at FIFPro, we always say this has to be done by negotiation. Involve the players in the discussions, let them know, have financial transparency, let them know that the cash flow situation in the club, and from there you can then work out what can be afforded to pay to players, and also the ability at some later stage maybe to reclaim that.
Before I bring Roughie into the chat with you, Tony, just one little point. One that, on a personal point of view, irks me, which is quite simply, we have a report out today saying that, small businesses who are looking for bank loans can't get them because they are steeped in too many difficult questions, too many things that the government had promised them that the banks are holding out on. We've only got 1,000 small companies getting loans when so many more need them to try and save their business. I wonder if maybe football is being picked on as an easy target when we should be looking at other big businesses with people earning fortunes to try and take the hit and put money back into the community and try and save their business. Are we making superstars the easy target? Are we making people think the wrong things of footballers in the community?
Yeah, I think that's an easy target, football. It's a global game. It's the biggest sport in most countries in the world. So therefore, if you can attack the players or the game, it gets you headlines. But the reality is, as I said earlier, 45% of that money goes to the government anyway. And if you look at the situation with the banks, they were bailed out by the government in 2008, and many of them were nationalised or part nationalised in an effort to get them back in slender condition again, to lend again to people. So it's really, I think, a failure in terms of the banks, but also there's many, many other billionaires, multi-millionaires who own major companies who are avoiding tax, and everybody knows about it. The reality is we're not dealing with that. And of course, the players have to play their part, but they're an easy target, as you suggest.
Tony, it's been great chatting to you about that. I've got to say to you, and I don't want to kind of blow smoke your direction. You've been out for an hour's walk. You're looking fit. You look as if you were that weight when you were playing. I think you would have been lethal in both teams that you played with Roughie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but of course, I had always the problems at the back. Of course, I had to. Even my sterling performances up front didn't always guarantee the result.
It's a classic Keegan. Yeah. It's a classic Kevin Keegan line there, Roughie. He scored 4, but you were going to let in 5.
Yeah. But it was always a problem when Tony was in the Partick Thistle team, because there was ever a free kick against us. Tony went in the wall, and that was at least 3 people used up already. So I had to get him out, get him off the wall. I can't see anything. I was going to say to Tony, we're talking. We're talking about the riches of the football just now, and the multi-millionaires. I just wonder if you can cast your mind back to the good old days when we used to sit in the Hibs dressing room, and the boy for the combined insurance come in trying to sell us all contracts, and the bold Jackie Mack, they said to him, "How much do you think we should invest a month?" And the boy says, "Oh, 60 quid at least." And Jackie says, "I'm only getting 80. What chance have I got?"
When George Best was there, I always remember that, and George, in the Monday morning in for training, and we all walked in there, faces tripping themselves because we knew Eddie Turnbull was going to put it through the hoops. And I remember George Best, I asked it to George, "Where are you at the weekend, George?" He said, "Oh," I said, "I was at a party with Ross Stewart and Britt Eklund and Michael Caine, the whole lot." And I said to Jackie, "Where were you?" He said, "I was at Easterhouse Masonic." He said, "The lager's 5 pence cheaper in there, so you got a contrast even at that stage behind the superstars of the world and the ordinary player."
Absolutely, and look how they've changed. You've managed to keep your feet on the ground, Tony, and Roughie's just standing there in front of all those bits of memorabilia he has. He's changed, Tony. He's changed.
That was the problem. That was a problem with me, Peter. I was standing in the ground and I was supposed to be jumping for cross balls, but there you are.
Listen, it's been an absolute joy talking to you, Tony. I think you make some great points on behalf of FIFPro, not only for the United Kingdom, but the wider scale of football. And it's great to see you two bantering together when we get together again, which could be a long, long time at the moment before football comes out of hibernation. Yeah. Tony, thanks again for joining us. Yeah, great to hear from Tony Higgins there. And I don't know if you noticed there, Barry, we did that interview. I would say we managed to get that interview just an hour ago. And in that time, Roughie's wife has taken down the Scotland top and put up Scotland caps. I mean, that is how vain he is, Barry. That's outrageous.
He's also changed his clobber as well. So, hey, listen, big man's lost it. He's losing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Hi to Margaret. Hi to Doogie, who's joined us. Mark Crawford as well. Stephen Brown. Andrew Jenkinson, who's always on with us. Great to have you on. Stephen Brown as well. Keith McBride. Darren Fields. Stevie McCormick. Lots of ex-footballers like to join us on the programme. And obviously, as you can tell by the newspapers, Roughie, lots of journalists like to join us as well, just to see if there's a story worth going for. So it's always good. We always like to help each other out across the entire media, written journalists, broadcast, as well as the radio as well. We all like to muck in together to see if we can get a wee line for each other to keep us all going. That's how the wheels turn around. With that in mind, Barry, just talking about that, this weekend, it's a big one for you this weekend. It's a wee rolling back the years, son, because I think the BBC's going to... Yeah, you look at your face lighting up. I think the BBC's going to show the 2002 Scottish Cup final in its entirety.
Yes, I've had many text messages letting me know that. It brought a smile to my face, so... Don't you worry, I'll be sitting down in front of the TV and watching it. There you go.
There you go. Only man ever to wear a vest.
Do you know who's in the background? Obviously, you can see Craig Moore. Who's the other guy?
Is it Lovenkrands?
Nope.
It's not Maurice Ross, is it? He couldn't get in that side. That was a right good side
you
had there.
Yep, that's Maurice Ross.
Is it?
Yep.
By the way, I have to tell you, and I don't know if you're aware of this, Barry, it's a great idea by the BBC, and full marks to them for it, showing these great games. I actually watched the highlights earlier on today just to get a wee flavour of the game because, my television is possibly maybe 3 or 4 years old, Barry, and the last thing I want to do is put my boot through it in the last 2 minutes,
Well, do you know what? I'll not be throwing any flip-flops at that TV on Sunday, that's for sure.
By the way, you nearly got two. You hit the post with an absolute raker of a shot.
I know, do you know what? It was one of the games, Peter. I mean, you must be sick of me talking about it, but it was one of the best games I've played in. We were in top for 5 minutes, then Celtic would be in top for 5 minutes. For me, it was two fantastic football teams, two strong teams as well. So, I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching it for about the 4,545th
time. Yeah, I get that feeling.
Rumour has it you went away down to the supermarket to get a 150-inch telly.
Listen, it's something to be proud of, Barry.
TVs together. That's
It's something to be proud of, son. It was a great cup final. Hi to John Collins, John Johnson, and also Amy Thompson joins us. Amy always likes to come to our staff parties, Roughie, and she only works for us 2 days of the year. I mean, that's outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah, and Amy's one of the person we're talking about, the NHS. She's out there, doing her bit, 12-hour shifts, absolutely amazing. But that's what the youngsters are doing, even for us old ones, they're just doing their bit. And Amy's one of these people.
Yeah, absolutely. Amy, we were out clapping for you and for all the NHS and the key workers and the carers last night at 8 o'clock. It's absolutely magnificent, the job you're doing, and so many other people, getting food across the country and keeping us all stocked up. We really do appreciate it. And I know everybody on Facebook, on our live and across our YouTube are mentioning that as well. Billy Murdoch, great to have you on with us, Billy. I'm trying to give as many people a mention as possible just to show you that we really appreciate it. Gordon Plowman as well joins us, just saying it's good points that Tony was making. Don Clark, Derek joins us as well, saying Roughie is now in pink. Listen, Derek, the one thing about Roughie, he gets to that point, even when he was young and winning the League Cup with Partick Thistle, he is absolutely mega on, looking the part, by the way. Barry, I'm going to show you this, and Roughie as well. Here's the Celtic team from that 2002 Scottish Cup final, right? Look at that Celtic side. Douglas in goal, Balda, Sutton and Mialby. Sutton come back from an injury. Agat, Thompson, Petrov, Lennon, Lambert, Larson and Hartson. Roughie, what about that Celtic side?
Yeah, that couldn't have been too far away from the side that, got most of the finals. That was a really, really strong side. Obviously at the back, a lot of aerial power there for set pieces and everything. And most of the team picked itself. Absolutely wonderful side.
Yeah, and Barry, talk us through this Rangers team here. What about the players in it?
Yeah, look, listen, some fantastic players there. Look, the two centre-backs, for me, that was the best partnership. For me, left-back, Arthur Newman, he's the best player. Like, a lot of people ask me, Peter, who's the best player I've played with? And it's not just about ability. I look at what type of character, the way he looked after himself. He was a proper leader. Arthur Newman was fantastic. And then you've got the late Fernando Richardson, Ronnie de Boer, and the wee guy up front, Caniggia, was frightening. I couldn't believe how good a player he was when we signed him for D. And Neil McCann and Peter Lovenkrands in the wide area. So it was two strong teams, Peter. Two very strong teams. And the same, as I mentioned, there was some great battles, certainly in the middle of the park. A lot of games we played against each other. You would come out and top some of them, and none of ones they would come out and top.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I might as well tell you, I said you hit the post, but your free kick was an absolute peach, wasn't it? Did you sense that Big Rab was too far over to his left? It was a great free kick from you.
Yeah, I've seen Big Rab a few times, and I gave him the eyes, the big man, so... do you know what? I'll give you a funny one. I was actually walking up and Big Amoruso stoats up to take the ball, and I was like, listen, get to this is mine. I just had a feeling, obviously confident with hitting the puck a few minutes beforehand. When it flew into the net, I kind of knew it was your day. We then took control, and thankfully we scored in the last kick of the ball with Neil McCann's great cross in and Payne's with a fight.
It was some finish, by the way. I was just about to mention that to you, Roughie. I don't know if you're going to get a chance to see it, Roughie, but the ball from Neil McCann for Peter Lovenkrands to actually win the cup was absolutely outstanding. Do you remember it?
Yeah, it's one of these balls, that you expect top-class wingers, if there's somebody in the middle, you try and get it over there absolutely inch perfect. And I don't think he even broke stride, to put it into the back of the net. And what a time, to score a winning goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott Berry says, would love to have seen Fergie in a Celtic top. Well, I think Roughie and I would need to have a belt at him with a baseball bat until he was unconscious. One of the best Scotland players ever produced, in my opinion, says Scott. Well done for that. Andrew Jenkinson, was Roughie in the Scotland squad at Mexico 86? Roughie, can you answer that question?
I certainly was. I was there for experience. I was the third goalkeeper on that trip, and I certainly was in Mexico. Unfortunately, we never again get into the final stage of that by, I think it was goal difference again.
Yeah, absolutely. I always remember the Uruguayans who absolutely kicked us off the park, Charlie Nicholas included in that. They were ruthless, weren't they, Roughie?
Yeah, they were terrible, absolutely disgusting. Even when we were on the bench, even the supporters and their bench were doing all sorts of things, spitting on you and all that carry on. It was just outrageous. And if you speak to any of the guys on the park, they were at that, nipping and pulling jerseys, and they just try to spoil the game. And obviously they did spoil the game. But that's the way they played. They went out there knowing what they had to get, and that's what they did.
Barry, can I ask you, what was Claudio Caniggia like as a person? I mean, as a player, it must have been a joy to play with him.
Yeah, look, obviously, growing up, Peter, I had watched the team he played in with Maradona in the World Cup. I think it was 1990. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was that.
Yep.
And I was shocked as anybody when I seen him sign with Dundee, and obviously seen him play. He still actually he came to Rangers. He was world class. The best physique I've ever seen on a footballer as well. Unbelievable, but great wee to himself. He was quiet, but you could see he had that wee bit about him. Peter, he was a one, and he settled in pretty quickly, and his class on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, you just slightly broke up there, but we really got the gist of what you were saying there. Physique, Roughie, he did look as if he had a six-pack as well, big man, didn't he? He looked magnificent. Only players like Caniggia can get away with that long hair, Roughie. I think even Roughie's gone on the freeze here, which brings me nicely to the fact that when the two of them freeze, that gives me a chance to tell you about our team of the season, because what we have been doing is basically giving you the chance to pick your team of the season. There's been some interesting ones along the way. Here's the team that we suggested at the start of the campaign. I don't know if this is a graphic or not. This is what we suggested would be the team of the season at the start of the campaign. Here it is there, and I'll just take you through them. Obviously, Foster in goal. I think it's Frimpong, Declan Gallagher, Julian Barisic, and the midfield three is the Celtic midfield three of McGregor, Brown, and Ryan Christie. And then up front, you've got three really good players there. And I mean, it was just our choice on this. We had Sam Cosgrove, Alfredo Morelos, and Odsonne Edouard. So that was our suggestion at the start. And then we offered everybody an option on what they thought at the finish. And here's what everybody picked from the votes. Well, I don't know about you, Barry, but all I can suggest to you now, calm your jets. All I can suggest to you, Barry, is Celtic fans have hijacked that vote.
Oh, no. Do you know what? I was ready just to switch off and just go.
No, but that's what happens.
I could just imagine, Barry, Alan McGregor going, I want a dressing room in my end. I'm not getting that dressing room.
See,
honestly,
in a serious note, it is hard to argue with it. If I'm being honest, there's probably only one. Julian, I don't know if there's anybody else who could maybe get in. I know he's been hot and cold, but the rest you can't really argue. Lyndon Dykes is one that I never even.
You'd pick Morelos over Lyndon Dykes, surely.
Yeah, no, of course I would, but look, he's somebody you forget about because they're a small club, but he's certainly one guy, Peter, that's impressed me every time I've watched him. Lyndon Dykes, for a guy that's came for the Championship, his first season in the Premier League, he's done really well.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you, but Roughie, that's Celtic fans hijacking the vote. By the way, you know what I love about Twitter, Facebook, YouTube? If you leave it open, then what happens? They'll contact each other, and it was incredible.
There must have been another Celtic fullback here to get in that back four, surely.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. Billy Murdoch has just said Barry's expression was brilliant when that team was put out there. Absolutely. That's the great... Barry, Rangers have left the building, says William Wright. I mean, that was
Don't
mental.
worry, I was ready to leave the building.
It was incredible. We left it open to everybody, but that's the joy of it. It's all about picking your favourite team of the season. There are a good few players in there that deserve to be in that side, but you know, some people have their doubts on the back line. They might have some other players that we might have forgotten about, but you've got to understand though, Roughie, even Hearts and Hibs usually would chip in with one or two players, but they just haven't been at it this season.
Yeah, and Aberdeen as well. Aberdeen usually have one or two you'd be thrown in there as well. I'm sure Tam Cowan will be throwing stuff at the telly. They screen the now. There's no Motherwell players involved. He keeps telling us how good they are, Declan Gallagher in particular. But, you know, you're right. You know, it just shows you the demise of some of the, obviously, Hearts, Hibs, and obviously Aberdeen, who would be up there in that main, you know, part of the league with players at the top of their game. And that's why some of them are where they are, because these players haven't come to the front this year.
Yeah, the T-Dog on YouTube has said, Peter, did you pick that team? No, I genuinely didn't. I mean, my team had Sam Cosgrove and Morelos in it, but nevertheless, a lot of people...
I thought it was
Alison
a wind-up,
Carroll.
to be honest with you.
So did I, Barry. So did I. Our Theory on YouTube as well. Thanks very much for joining us. Rab Richardson. Lots of people coming in, giving us their thoughts. Some we like to try and read out, and some we just haven't got the time. Gareth Williams, Pat Scanlon, also Ray Finkel. Ray Finkel, that reminds me, was Ray Finkel not the guy who was in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective? I love the way people adopt other names along the way on this Facebook Live. I would have had Foster in as well, says Neil Todd. Neil, it's all about opinions on this. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Well, to be fair to you, Barry, on Wednesday, you did make the point that you thought McGregor was probably worthy of a shout. I thought McGregor had a strong first half of the season.
Yeah, look, it's a hard one for me, Peter. They're two top-class goalkeepers. I'm just going with Alan McGregor because I've obviously seen how he works. I've played many games with him. That's why I opted for Alan McGregor.
Listen, I might as well just go back over some of the headlines we've been talking about. Hibs players have agreed a deferral. I was chatting to David Gray last night, and obviously, hopefully David actually is going to come on the show next week and have a chat with us, Barry. Looking forward to that, Roughie. Great lad, great stories of the Scottish Cup final, Hibs against Rangers with that 3-2 win. So I'm looking forward to chatting to David next week. The Hibs players have agreed the deferral as well. Jack Ross and also the coaching staff will take similar cuts. Aberdeen close to announcing deferrals as well. Now, Chairman Gary Deans at Falkirk confirmed that almost all the Falkirk staff, including players and management, which is David McCracken and Lee Miller, have been placed on furlough leave. So these are difficult times. This highlights, Roughie, what Tony Higgins was talking about earlier, which is, you know, this myth of it's a huge percentage of players who are on mega money. This is Falkirk making the necessary moves to try and save the club and the players. Thankfully, obviously, I've been chatting and working out ways where, you know, the club can still take the financial hit and they can still get some compensation from the government.
Yeah, it's a fantastic point that Tony made, and I think we all realise that everybody isn't on 50 grand, 30 grand, 20 grand. The guys, I mean, possibly some of the guys we're talking about maybe on £1,000. Obviously, once they pay tax on that, it'd be 600, and if you take 50% of that, it's £300. And a lot of them would struggle to live on that because obviously the overheads that they have, their mortgage, how they've got to live. So you've got to be realistic, you know, that if you cut that amount of money, they're going to find it hard as well. So it's not the big rich guys you've got to worry about, it's these guys.
Barry, Stuart Campbell has asked us a question to ask you. Peter, can you ask Barry, what does he think Douglas Park will be investing into Rangers? Is 50 million a realistic figure? Does Douglas Park have that sort of money, Barry, to burn?
I don't know, Peter, but I do know he's a wealthy man. I don't know whether it's all in his businesses or whatever, but what I will say is to all the Rangers fans, they're in safe hands with Douglas Park. As I says in the show, I think it was maybe Monday or Wednesday, he's a shrewd businessman and he will put every Rangers fan at ease. What's happened, obviously Dave King going, I knew he'd says at the AGM that he was going to be going, Peter, in March, but I thought he maybe have stayed. Well, obviously this virus, but look, they've got the right man at the helm just now in Douglas Park.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I want to thank everyone, as we do every week, the people who come on YouTube and Facebook. 99.9% of you make really good points, passionate about your club. It may well be sometimes pro your own club and biased towards your own club. That's fine. It's an opinion. We try and read out as many of them as possible. We do get the odd 1% of abusive messages coming in on Facebook and YouTube, but we tend to ignore them because we're a football show. We love our game and we try to talk to the people who are sensible and passionate about football. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much to each and every one of you, because we'll try and give as many a mention as possible. If you do get a chance over the course of the week, Monday to Friday at 4 o'clock, share the stream with your friends, let them know we're here, pass the word on. What I'm going to do this weekend, Roughie, over the 8 years that you and I have been together, Barry's been on there as well, and so many other great pundits we've had along the way. I'm going to put out some of the 8 years we've been together, some of the guests we've had on, and some of the funnies as well. And you and I can remember them with great hilarity. We weren't always in big studios. We used to be in a studio, Roughie, where if you laughed, the entire studio walls moved. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I certainly do, and I think we've still got them in our new studio. We don't use them, obviously, but yeah, it was good. And I have to say that way back when we really started, you always talk about Chris Sutton. I hope he's on it. You know that he was an absolutely fantastic one of our first guests to come on, and you wound him up as you do most of the people who come on.
Yeah, Barry, I have to tell you, now I'm not having a go at you, Barry, right? And so don't think this is a thinly veiled attack, but Chris Sutton avoided press conferences like the plague. He hated going to press conferences, didn't like the media, and over and above that, when we were launching the company, I phoned him and I said, look, you need to come up and help us. And to his credit, Chris Sutton and Nacho Novo said, Peter will be there for you. And you and Darren, and do you remember Bob Malcolm as well? Yep. You were there for us when we were doing the big launch of the show, and we'll never forget you for that. But Chris Sutton, I said, come on the show, and believe me, Barry, you'd have been proud of me. I absolutely leathered them for about 2 hours. 1 goal for Chelsea, 1 England cap, the lot. And Roughie at one point thought, Roughie said to me, who's taking Chris home? And I said, I'm driving Chris home. He says, I think he's going to kick your head in. He says, because you have battered him. He's going to give you a doing. I'll never forget it, because Sutty got in the car and he turned around to me and he says, Peter, that is the best 2 hours I've spent. He says, we had a great laugh. And then he did 3 or 4 shows for his Roughie on telly. And then he just turned into what can only be described as a media whore. He's working for everybody.
Yeah, I have to say he is. You know, I'm quite happy he's not taking anything that we preach on board. You know that, but no, he's got an opinion like a lot of people, and you either like it or you don't like it, and that's the way of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got to be honest with you, I look forward to every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's good getting 10, 15 minutes before we start. Good banter, good laugh. That's what it's all about, enjoying yourself. We get serious sometimes, but it's all about enjoying it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what football is all about, the family. Nothing is more important than, of course, your family, your safety and your health. And we mentioned that. Last night, Barry, Roughie, all of us were clapping for the NHS. Hard to believe that we had to fight for the NHS over the last 30 or 40 years. Let's hope people give more and more money when this virus is well and truly beaten, and we don't forget the value of all the people who've put their life on the line for us. We should never forget that. I hope you have a great weekend. Barry's certainly going to have a great weekend watching the 3-2 Scottish Cup final win for Rangers. But the answer to the
Don't worry,
quiz... let me know.
Here, I'll be texting you all the way through it.
Well, Roughie, if you could phone Amy Thompson and see if she can get an ambulance over here, because my foot will be stuck right in the middle of the telly. I'm only winding you up. Hi to Graham, who's watching from Abu Dhabi. Great, Graham. I hope you're safe and well in Abu Dhabi. We're going to have a great weekend. Incidentally, can you give us any tips? Because all the guys on here like watching the football. Barry, can you give us any tips for programmes that you're watching, box sets? I'm watching Ozark at the moment, just getting into it. That's not bad. Quite enjoying it. What about yourself?
I'm just about to finish The Sinner. That's very good. That's one I would recommend, and then I'm going to have a look. Once I finish that tonight, I'll have a new one ready for you on Monday. I've got 2 or 3 choices, I'm not sure of yet. So,
right, that's good. Roughie, what about yourself?
The Sinner's a shocker when she gets killed in the end, by the way. No, my highlight is Belgravia. That's what I'm watching.
Right, okay. Which only tells me, Barry, you know exactly what that's all about.
That better not happen. I tell you, that better not happen. My flip-flop will be right through that TV again.
Listen, the answer to our quiz was Sol Campbell. Sol Campbell was the name we were looking for our quiz today. Look out for some of our classic clips from yesteryear over the course of the weekend. Like, follow, share on Facebook if you can. We'd love the audience to grow and grow through these difficult times. And of course on YouTube as well. So many people on YouTube. Thank you to each and every one of you for actually giving us a mention. Rusty as well, Rab Richardson, lots of people. Alison, the R Theory has joined us as well. So many people giving us their thoughts. James Duncan as well joining us on YouTube. It's live, 4 o'clock. Monday to Friday. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, and well done to the NHS, the key workers, the carers and the helpers. We are 100% behind you. And the last word on this, well done to the footballers who are putting themselves out there and donating money to the NHS as well, and some people doing the best to try and keep their clubs afloat. We love the beautiful game. From Roughie, from Barry and from myself, Peter Martin. Stay safe. We'll see you on Monday.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.